Welcome to the Built to Scale series Outside Marketing, bringing you quick, actionable episodes to help move your business forward. Here's your host, Craig Severinson.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to Outside Marketing episode 30, the show where we answer the question, how do you build a wildly successful business without sacrificing your personal life? And today we're going to be talking about the difference between growth and scale and why it is so essential for you to know the difference so that you can just explode your business as quickly as you want to. Knowing the difference between these two things will really help you know what phase of your business you're in so that you can do the right things at the right time to get the growth that you want. As always, if you're enjoying this content, check out builttoscalehq.com. There you can check out the whole podcast, the Built to Scale podcast. If you like this content, the difference between this kind of like short show and the long form Built to Scale podcast is this is me and my thoughts coming at you with really short thoughts, and the other one is interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Like, we're talking people who have built multi-million dollar businesses and talking about what they did to grow their business and the challenges they're facing now as they transition from that growth phase to the scale phase, right? So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out at builttoscalehq.com. The other thing you can do at that website is you can explore the Built to Scale program, which is my consulting program where we help you implement a business growth framework to get the right foundation and systems in your business so that you can grow without sacrificing your personal life. This makes it easier for you to delegate, makes it easier for you to focus on the right things and get the results that you want. So check that stuff out. All right, so let's talk about the difference between growth and scale. And, I was right before this putting these thoughts in my mind. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was talking to someone yesterday, and they're doing fantastic. They're doing amazing. And they said something about, yeah, eventually I'm going to get around to implementing these systems just like you. And, we were just laughing, we're just friends, we're talking. And I was thinking about that thought afterwards, about eventually I'll get around to those systems. And I thought to myself, man, why would you wait? Like, the systems are what really help you to know exactly what needs to shift in your business to get the results you want. It helps you to measure, it helps you to delegate, it helps you to get results in a much easier way, and it helps you win back your freedom, your time to do the stuff that you want to do. So I was like, why in the world would you wait? And I realized that it's maybe a fundamental misunderstanding of growth versus scale. So let's look at these two things. Number one, growth, right? Growing a business is about increasing revenue or increasing your business, right? Getting new clients at about the same rate as all of your other resources, such as capacity, right? So, like, when you're in a growth phase, when you bring on a new client, there's a cap, right? So you bring on a new client and you can maybe take on like 10 total before, oh my goodness, you've got to get more resources. You've got to hire more staff. You've got to get more software licenses. You got to get more things so that you can service more clients. That's a growth phase. Now, typically in that growth phase, it's defined by things like one-to-one marketing, that type of guerrilla, get your hands dirty, get in the trenches type of marketing, right? Nothing wrong with that. In the growth phase, the things that matter the most are your foundation. In particular, your audience, your niche, right? Are you talking to the right people? Your offer, are you offering the right people the right thing? And your positioning, are you positioning yourself in the marketplace as a unique solution and not as something that everyone else is offering, right? Like, be different, not better, that type of idea, right? Let me explain to you why this is so important. I have a client, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that at this moment, but she was really struggling to make sales, and we made some adjustments. She did a lot on, I was working with her and she put in the hard work and she got it to the point where even she wasn't making sales until she said, you know what, I think we need to switch the audience a little bit. And once that audience snapped into place, it started hitting home. When her audience and her offer aligned, suddenly the marketing she was doing really started to get traction. And in the past 3 weeks, she's closed like 4 new clients and is starting to get a waiting list of people that are wanting in her services. That's the power of getting that audience and that offer aligned, as well as getting that positioning right. When you get that stuff right in your growth and your foundation phase, it can happen very, very quickly. The point of growth is that you want to prove out your offer and your audience and your positioning. You want to make sure those things are all lined up. There's nothing wrong with growth. We want to skip over it a lot of times. We want to get to the scale stuff, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We want to just gloss over this work. But the truth is that if you do it and you take your time with it and you do it right, it's going to set you up for success for the rest of your business, right? It's like a house. That's why I call it the foundations. It's like a house or a building. If you've got a solid foundation, you can build up, right? And like if you're going to build a prefab trailer, you don't need a huge foundation, right? You don't need to put a lot of work into that foundation. So if you're wanting to grow a hobby of a business that isn't like your main thing, maybe your foundation doesn't have to be that solid. But if you're trying to build, the Empire State Building or some other skyscraper, that foundation better be in place and better be right, or that building is going to get halfway up and then collapse underneath you. How many entrepreneurs do you know, or maybe you've experienced this, where you get some momentum, you get going, and then suddenly clients dry out. Suddenly we can't find, what's going on. The sales aren't coming in anymore, and the building starts to collapse. This happens a lot with really connected new entrepreneurs. I call it the rising tide effect, because it's like they're so connected in their network that when they start selling stuff and they're so talented at what they do, when they start their own business, the tide comes in and takes it where they want to go, but they never learn how to attract clients. So once the network dries up, the tide goes out and it leaves them on the shore, and they're like, what do I do? Right? So like you want to make sure you get those foundations in place, your audience, your offer, and your positioning in the marketplace. When I work with clients in the Built to Scale program, that's the very first thing we do. So there's training around this, but I also get on a phone call with them, and it's like, okay, let's look at your offer. And here's the cool thing is that when you get those things aligned, and you can kind of position your offer to really appeal to your ideal audience and build a premium package, lots of times you can double, triple, 10x even your rates almost immediately. Okay, so that's the growth phase. That's foundations, right? Now let's talk about scale. So if growth is increasing revenue, increasing business at about the same pace as your resources, or faster than your resources, in other words, there's a cap, then scale is increasing business faster than your cost, faster than like your resources are not an issue. And so the difference becomes moving from that one-to-one type style marketing and moving into leveraged marketing, moving from really like time for money capped type work to being able to bring on lots of clients for bigger prices, and being able to really scale. When we talk about scale, think about maybe a product might be an easy way to think about this. In growth phase, when a company is first getting started, right? They've got to figure out, how do I afford to buy enough product to sell, right? And so they're buying product and they're selling, and they're buying product and selling, and it's just a constant treadmill, right? Of like, we got to keep buying product and we got to keep selling. Once they get to the scale portion of their business, now they either have the money or the resources to buy a ton of product in bulk and then market in bulk, and start going from like, their first couple $100,000, $500,000 to million, multi-million dollars, right? So the same is true of your service-based business, okay? So now we're moving from that kind of one-to-one style to the leveraged or scaled. Now that doesn't mean that your offer necessarily changes, okay? So something different about the B2B services versus like a product is that you may always have the challenge of a capacity issue, because you have to have staff to help you do stuff. But once you start building team to help you implement, and you stop being the bottleneck, now we're getting into the scale phase, because we can hire salespeople. They can make consistent sales. We can hire staff and team and keep growing that staff and team. Now we've got the resources to keep up with huge growth, right? So growth phase gets you up to six figures, 500,000, even like $1 million, moving from, there's no like clear line, right? So for each business, this could be different, but let's say from $750,000 to $1 million and beyond, you start entering that scale phase, right? Now, here comes the question, because I always talk about foundations and systems. The systems are what allow you to scale your business beyond just you, to remove yourself as the bottleneck and explode your revenue, just knock it out of the park, and also remove yourself as the bottleneck so that you can go on vacations, you can take time for your hobbies, you can take a month off at Christmas if you want, like you can do the stuff you want to do, and your business doesn't suffer, but your business continues to thrive, right? Systems are what allow that. So then the question becomes, when is the right time to start building systems? Which is bringing us full circle to what started this conversation. My friend saying, oh, maybe one day I'll get around to that, right? Here's the thing. The best time to build those systems is when you're in growth phase, because if you wait until you're hitting your capacity and you're like, okay, it's time to, let's flip the switch for scaling. It doesn't work like that. You don't just flip the switch. If you don't have the infrastructure in place, you can't do it. You cannot scale your business. So the right order of doing this is you get your foundation in place first thing. You figure that out. And once that starts hitting, you're going to start making sales and you're going to have a six-figure business, right? Like that's the way the foundation works. When you get it right, it's going to accelerate your business. We stay in the growth phase. We stay in growth mode and start building and fine-tuning our systems while we're growing until we're ready to transition into that scaling phase. And now the infrastructure of those systems is in place. And so the transition is, again, it's not a light switch that flips. It's like as you're building and fine-tuning these, they start to work better and better and better and better until it's going, right? And suddenly you transition from that growth to scale phase, right? That's how you take this business as big as you want it to go. But you've got to be doing the work sooner than you might think. Foundations and systems, you got to hit those early on. And if that's something you want to do, make sure you check out the Built to Scale program. Because in that program, I help you get your foundations in place, right? So your offer, your audience, your positioning. And then I also help you get the 6 essential systems, everything from your finances to visibility to sales to business operations, all of that stuff. We're going to build systems around it so that your business starts to run without you. And you set standards of this is how it works. This is where I can improve. And you start to look at your business less like a solo practitioner and more like a CEO. The difference between growth and scale is a transition from solo pro to CEO. And just because you have a team doesn't mean that you don't have a solo pro mindset. And just because you don't have a team doesn't mean you don't have a CEO mindset. See, you got to get those mindsets in place as well if you really want to see your business take off. Man, I'm getting super passionate about this and it's going a lot longer than I probably should go. So maybe I'll do this again sometime. I'd love to hear your big takeaways. In the comments, what do you think? What's the difference between growth and scale to you? Did I nail it? Did I miss it? Right? What are your thoughts? And as always, please go to builttoscalehq.com. I would love to help you on this journey, get those foundations in place, get those systems in place, see you win on a much bigger level, much faster than maybe even you think possible. And I 100% know that that's what we can do inside the Built to Scale program. Why? Because it's not just coaching or just consulting. It's a business growth framework. And I'm going to help support you to get that framework in your business. And it's going to amplify the things you are doing differently and naturally already and help you as the owner focus your efforts on the right things at the right time to get the right results. Okay, until next time, take some fast focus, imperfect action. I believe in you. I got to get back to my cardio. It's a overcast day, but not raining, so I'm grateful for that. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.
Thanks for joining us. To check out all the Built to Scale episodes and to see how Craig can help you in your business, go to builttoscalehq.com.